close to the low point of the day. A small cap index trading with cuts of about 0.4%, having recovered from the low point of the day. Let's also take a look at the market breadth, because early on in the session you had it favoring the advances, and I would also like to see the lines, because that will indicate how it's progressed through the session so far. And it's early days, just about an hour and a half, but it's completely reversed. There you go. So it started with a wide gulf between advances and declines favoring the advances, but now you have the declines that have taken precedence. There is a significant update in terms of key changes in the NSE indices that we will bring you in just a bit. And it's going to be significant because heading into the next month and towards the end of the next month, you will likely see, actually towards the end of the month, 27th of March is when you will see the changes. And why this is important is that based on the inclusions and exits, you will generally find inflows and outflows from select stocks, because you have a significant amount of passive flows into these stocks, because a lot of funds invest in the ETFs, or there are several ETFs that are governed by the Nifty 50. Somit is joining in to tell you about the key inclusions and exits that are on the card. Somit?
Well, yes, what I understand is that as per the past trends that we have seen on the NSE index announcement dates, most likely NSE might come out with its announcement on the index changes today. And whatever changes the NSE announces, the adjustment for this, which means that the inflows and outflows regarding the same will happen on March 27th, and the changes will be effective from the 31st of March 2025. Now, when it comes to the Nifty 50 index, Zomato and Jio Finance are expected to be included in the Nifty 50 index, while BPCL and Britannia will be removed. Jio Finance and Zomato will see an inflow of close to 338 to 650 million US dollars, which is nearly 3 to 5 times its 20-day moving average, while BPCL and Britannia could see an outflow of anywhere between 220 to 260 million US dollars, which is nearly 7 to 10 times their 20-day moving average. Apart from that, when it comes to Nifty Next 50, Indian Hotels, Britannia and BPCL, because they are moving out of Nifty 50, they'll get included in the Nifty Next 50. Other than that, it's CG Power, Polycab and Hyundai. These stocks could get included in the Nifty Next 50. Now, because of this inclusion, there could be inflows of anywhere between 30 million to 100 million US dollars on these stocks. And when it comes to exclusions, it's Zomato and Jio Finance which are getting excluded, and this is natural because they're getting included in the Nifty 50 index. They're getting excluded from the Nifty Next 50. But apart from that, it's BHEL, NHPC, IRCTC, Union Bank and Adani Total Gas which get moved out of the Nifty Next 50, and because of the same, there could be outflows of anywhere between 25 to 40 million US dollars in these stocks. Now, when it comes to Nifty IT index, Oracle Finance might get included, where L&T Tech might get excluded, and inflows and outflows for this would be anywhere between 8 to 11 million US dollars, and there are no changes expected when it comes to the Nifty Bank index. So this is what is expected out of the NSE index changes. Most likely the announcement would come in today post market.
All right, interesting one to watch out for, because Zomato being included in Nifty 50 is a big one, and even Jio Finance for that matter. So both of these counters, let's pull up those counters and see what it's doing in trade. Well, Jio Finance is trading flat. Let's also pull Zomato. Zomato is down by about 1%. But some stocks that are really buzzing in trade today, and one of them is Godrej Industries. It's been buzzing since yesterday. It's up by about 10% even right now as we speak, 11%. Some other counters, which are doing well in trade also include something like Hindware Home, Century Plyboard, La Opala, etc. But, these are the counters which are buzzing in trade today. And let's, also move on to our queries for today. And let's welcome in our guests for the day. Sameer Dalal, from Natulal and Sons Stockbrokers is joining us as the funder guest, and Jatin Geria is technical research analyst at Mirae Asset by Sheikh Khan is also joining us. Welcome to both of you gentlemen. I'll start with the first query. The first stock that we're talking about is Shakti Pumps. Taran from UK has around 340 odd shares bought at 86 a piece. He wants to know whether he should sell at the current levels and move to another counter. His vision is from a longer term perspective. So Sameer, I'll come to you. What's the view with respect to Shakti Pumps?
Unfortunately, Shakti Pumps is not under coverage.
Okay, and then Jatin, with respect to the charts, how is it faring? Should he wait for some time or exit the counter at current levels?
I think the recent correction is done. I believe I'm expecting a bounce back towards 1100 odd levels. So I think he should hold on to his investment as of now and try to exit around 1100 odd levels. So as of now, the suggestion is to hold with a stop loss of 870 is the level below which he can sell, or wait for an upside towards 1100 where he can exit his position.
All right. He's making quite a bit of money on this investment that he's made in Shakti Pumps. The stock has done particularly well. It wobbled a little bit around COVID-19, if I remember correctly. Let's talk about the next question though. And we've got a caller. Shweta is calling us from Hyderabad. Hi Shweta, morning. How can we help you today?
Hi Alex, hi Mahima, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for your support and for your advice.
It's our absolute pleasure to facilitate this, and thank you for calling us. How can we help you?
Yeah, actually my query is regarding the Rainbow Child.
Okay.
I have 1536 at the buy price is 1536. And I also have Kins at 610 rupees.
Okay.
So I want to know whether it is okay to hold both of them, or is it would be wise to exit from one stock and to have that in another.
What is your
stock?
time frame? Allow me to focus on one because it allows our experts also to give you better advice. Rainbow Child,
Okay.
what's your holding period like, and how long would you like to hold this for?
I would like to hold both of them for a year.
For a year, okay. So then,
Yeah.
Samir, Rainbow Children's Hospital or Medicare, would you hold this for a year if you bought at slightly elevated levels, 1,536? The stock price is currently 1,305. What are the prospects based on the fundamentals?
So companies' fundamentals are decent, but the problem is valuations are a little high. Yes, the stock has seen a slight bit of a correction recently from the high, and that's why your investors probably losing some money. But then they probably bought it at the highest point. Now we believe that the entire segment in India, when it comes to Medicare, is going to see a huge opportunity for growth. But for the kind of fundamentals that they have and the kind of growth that they have because of the capex that will be required, we think it doesn't make sense to hold on at this point. I think the stock could probably see more valuation de-rating. The valuations are still punchy at about 48 times, I think, FY26 earnings as per what we are talking of. I think maybe get out can come closer to 35 times earnings, which is where some of the other Fortis or some of the other companies could also be trading at. So I think that makes more sense, getting into another counter at this point.
So that's the view with respect to Rainbow Children. The next counter that we're talking about is M&M. Gul purchased M&M at 2896 and he wants to add more, and he wants to know whether this is the right time to buy more or there is more downside to this. The stock is currently down by about 5.7 odd %. We had an exclusive story today in the morning. We will take you to that story in a bit. But before we go to that, Jatin, quickly your view with respect to M&M on the charts.
See, M&M has reached a very crucial support zone of 2650, 2630 on the downside. I think last year between July, September and somewhere in the month of October, this zone has been acting as a very crucial support zone. So I believe that this zone will once again act as a very crucial support zone, and we are expecting buying interest to resume from this zone. So yes, around this zone of 2600, one can average out or add to his existing holdings in M&M. So overall, the structure is range bound, but yes, current levels or around the 2600 levels, one can average it.
And the stock reacted quite sharply in trade yesterday. It dropped initially and then recovered about 5.5% from the low point, but today it's under quite a considerable amount of pressure on the downside. Of course, The story that we were talking about, that Mahima just told you about, is the fact that the government may modify the terms of its EV policy that it announced about a year back that could come into play right now. And this is at a time when the rumor and the buzz is that Tesla is readying for an India entry. You've seen a lot of news stories out there about the potential price of those vehicles. We also had source-based information coming through on that. But here's what Shrimi's report had to say. This is essentially what she had reported earlier. Listen in.
Government is working on finalizing the guidelines on the new EV policy. Remember, the EV policy requires the investment of 4,150 crore, which gives you the concessional duty of 15% tariff from the current 110% tariff at this point of time. So what we've been given to understand that government is, working on making some changes in the terms and condition of the EV policy. And in fact, companies and car makers may give a mandate to have a revenue target of 2,500 crore by the second year itself from the date of manufacturing unit being set up. In fact, in the draft policy which was approved last year itself, already have a provision of 5,000 crore revenue target in the first 4 years and 7,500 crore by the fifth year. So this is one addition which is going to be crucial if at all they are going to come as a change in the final policy. Other than that, the assembly line could be included in the existing factory, and any past investment by these car makers whomsoever is interested in the policy would not be considered as a fresh infusion. Any land building cost will also be not counted as a part of the total investment. However, there are consideration around that 5% of of the total investment could go towards the EV infrastructure. So that consideration is still in work. So overall, some terms and conditions could see some tweaking, and once the scheme will be notified, the application will be sought, and 2 to 3 months of the timeline will be given for the approval, and after the approval comes, the companies can go ahead with the import. This is important and coming at a time when Tesla, one of the considered to be a key beneficiary of the EV policy, is planning its foray in the Indian market. So this is important, and we've been also told from our sources that 2 to 3 car makers have already showed interest. However, there is no such commitment came so far. So government, especially the heavy industry ministry, who is the nodal ministry, is working with the commerce ministry and finance ministry on the proposal, on the changes, and we will see some development in next month itself. And if all goes fine in the internal consultation, we would see that application will be invited by April itself.
Right, interesting one out there. Thank you so much for that, Shrimi. Now, Mahindra & Mahindra's Group CEO and Managing Director Anish Shah told NDTV Profit that he was confident of competing with Tesla. Listen in.
But that's exactly the question that was there 25 years ago, but various deep-pocketed global players came into India and Mahindra was written off as dead, saying you're not going to be able to compete with them. Right? That's happened on multiple occasions. Today, we have the products that speak for themselves. And in fact, we went to the extent where at our launch, at our test center in Chennai, we actually had some of the best vehicles in the world there along with our vehicles, and we invited the folks at the launch to drive all of them. And our vehicles stood up extremely well against some of the best vehicles, some of which were priced 3 times or 4 times our vehicle as well. So that confidence today comes from the people we have, from what they've done, from what they've developed. And therefore, we feel fairly good about the fact that we can compete with various folks.
All right, Samir, quickly your view on this entire EV policy thing, and how does it, overall impact the Indian auto players?
So the EV policy, whenever it comes, will be a good thing that happens. At the end of the day, our Indian car companies have launched good products. What is the problem is the pricing at the moment when it comes to these EVs. They are much more expensive than the ICE vehicles, and which is why the adoption has not happened. So if there are certain incentives given by the government to push the entire EV space and make it more competitive, I think the opportunity is very large for me, Mahindra has launched extra cars. What Anish talked about, the fact that their products are very competitively priced and the features that they offer us are extremely good. Plus, the distribution reach that they have is phenomenal. The servicing and all of those things will be able to be taken care of a lot more easier than for a Tesla who's just setting up its base. So the entire EV policy that comes through will benefit everyone across the board. Of course, we need to see what exactly comes in it, but we feel the opportunity is very large, and companies that have the products in place. So where Mahindra is there, the Tatas are there. I think they are ahead of the curve. Maruti is probably a little behind the curve. So they need to do a bit of a catch up, but of course they have the fastest reach and the best pricing and all of those things. So I'm sure they'll be able to get their act together. But I believe the opportunity is extremely large, and this is a space that one should focus on, and there will be money made for investors in this space.
That's the view with respect to the auto space. Moving on to the next caller, Yashwant from Andhra Pradesh is calling in. Yashwant, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Yeah, good morning to having this call.
Morning, I can hear you, Yashwant. Go ahead with your query.
Yeah, it bought a shares of warrants in 400
Okay.
at the price of 3,000.
Okay.
This is a long-term view, and I need to average my shares now. This is the right time or not?
Okay.
And also explain the fundamentals.
Okay. All right. Samir, I'll quickly come to you. Wari Energies is the counter. He's sitting on a loss of roughly 2.9 lakh rupees on the counter because he's bought it at elevated levels of 3,000 rupees. But he's saying that he wants to accumulate more from a longer term perspective. Is that the right thing to do right now? What's the view?
So on Vari, I'm not as positive. I'm very, very positive on the entire renewable energy space. We've spoken about this multiple times because, in India, we are seeing a massive shift to solar, given the government agenda of by having 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030 and being net carbon neutral by 2070. So obviously the push that's coming for the renewable side is going to be phenomenal, and companies in the space will benefit. But where Vari probably has a little bit of a problem is that they have operations and exports to the US. So two things. First, of course, we're talking of reciprocal tariffs and things like that, which could hurt them. Two, you're also going to remember that the US has exited the Paris Treaty Agreement, which means that their setup of renewable energy may not be as great. So someone who's making these PV cells, which Vari is, and they have the largest capacity in the country, could face some amount of pricing pressure because eventually they got to sell their product somewhere else, and that somewhere else could be very well India, but at not the same kind of prices that they were able to generate in the international market. So if that is the case, then obviously profitability could come under some pressure. Like I said, I'm very positive on the renewable energy space and the solar space. So if one wants to, make a good investment where valuation corrections have been significant, and you can hold on to his Vari. But I say, if you want to make further investments, there is two companies that we recommend also that have seen a huge correction in this market. One is Sterling and Wilson Solar, which is catering to the EPC side of the business, so they don't get affected by any pricing whatsoever. They basically take an order from a customer, execute it, set up the solar plant, and do the O&M. And the second is KPI Green Energy, which also does the EPC, but apart from doing the EPC, they are also an IPP. So they set up their own power plants and they sell power to the grid and to other customers for their requirements of renewable energy. And also, if somebody wants to set up a plant on their land, it's a CPP, which is they set it up for the person, they do the EPC work and put it onto the books of that individual, but they run the O&M and the rental of the land. So they earn a continual revenue stream from that. So these are the two companies that in the solar space that I would be pushing more than a Vari at this point.
Okay, and Sterling and Wilson Solar, significant stake. I can't remember exactly how much owned by Reliance Industries now. It is dropped about 66% from the 52-week high. Bear that in mind. It's dropped quite considerably. For the year as a whole, is down about 50%. Okay, the next question we're taking has to do with Goldium International, and Santosh is asking. He's writing in from Chennai. He's got 200 shares that he's bought at a average price of 170. The stock is currently trading at 490 levels. The question is, should he hold on or book profits? Jatin, on the charts, what's your view?
See, in the case of Goldium, the overall medium-term to short-term trend is still positive. recently the correction halted at the 40-week average, which was placed around 343. So I will suggest to hold on to his current investment that he is having with a stop loss of 343, because if this recent swing low or the recent support where it held on, that is 343, if that breaks, then there is a further downside towards the 275 odd level. So 343 should be kept as a stop loss as of now for his position in gold yen.
We've got Dheeraj calling us from Hyderabad. Hi Dheeraj, how can we help you today?
Good morning, Alex.
Good morning.
So I need to actually give a special mention to you actually, because you host the show really well, and you add a lot of your aura adds a lot of value to the show actually.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, actually, before asking my query, I have a small concern regarding the shape of the stock market actually.
Okay.
So, is there a huge concern regarding the further progress of the market? Because, like, the biggest groups in the country are facing a lot, like regarding the Adanis, the Ambanis, and then groups like Tata Group, and then Murugappa Group, and even Larsen and Turbo. Like, all the companies, I have heard something regarding this, like, blue chips have been happening in India. So there is a lot of pressure regarding the selling of FIs, and this is being a huge impact there.
Okay.
So furtherly, like if the companies perform really well by the next quarter, from there can we see the upside, or will this be a long-term thing going on, or what's actually the concern is my point, because people like me, like I spend my entire time on the stock market.
Okay.
Like, a day, like my entire work is like from morning to evening. I do trade. And
so I will ask your question, Dheeraj. So, but then I get it. And a lot of people have that question and have that worry. So we will address it. But do you have a specific question? It's on Adani Ports, right?
Yes, actually Adani Ports too, sir. Actually, I have a lot of respect to Adani, Mr. Gautam Adani, sir, and I'm a huge fan of the entire group. But in specific, I like Adani Ports really well. The recent quarter results also have been really good, top notch. But why there is no from the Adani Group in specific? There are a lot of companies from cement space like ports, like Adani Enterprises and ACC, like Adani Power, and but not even a single segment there is an uptrend from Adani Group.
So what you're asking is whether to hold for the long term and what the prospects are on the upside. All right, I got your question, Dheeraj, and let me go across to Samir on this one. Samir, so essentially what he's talking about is something that a lot of people have asked about, which is why are the blue chips getting battered so much? And you know, this is par for the course. You've seen so much selling, and foreign institutional investors did have quite a bit of holding in the blue chip companies, and so therefore obviously where would they sell? They would sell blue chips, and they have been apparently deploying in the broader end of the spectrum. But specific question on Adani Ports, a lot of brokerages coming through and saying this is a high conviction buy at this juncture, valuations are looking attractive, earnings are looking good. Would you hold for the long term? Would you buy?
Okay, so let's address the first part first quickly. Yes, you're right. The foreigners have been selling and they have the largest holding in the blue chip. So obviously the selling is coming there, and that is why we are seeing the prices coming off a bit. But you also got to realize that valuations have moved up quite a bit, right? So, if you invest in the equity markets, you want to see return on capital. You want to see your stock price going up. What had happened is from where the stocks were trading, it was going to be very difficult to generate a return of about 15 to 17%, which is what you need when you're taking risk and investing in the equity markets. Because if you're getting a GSEC at 7%, you want to at least get minimum 12 to 15% return when you're taking risk. And that probably was not available at the higher levels. And then the FI selling came in, plus the US interest rates went up. So for them, it kind of became a situation where I was getting 5% risk free if they invest in the US, plus if the Indian currency depreciates by 4%, which has been the tradition, 4 to 5% a year, you were getting kind of 10% returns if so you needed something much more in India, which was not available. So that is why we've seen the selling by the FIs. And my guess is we are quite close to the end of the selling. Hopefully, I'm of the opinion it's quite close, but I'm hoping that it's sooner rather than later. And once that happens, what you will see is stability, and the markets then slowly seeing accumulation and going up. So to address that, I think we are closer to the closer to the end of the fall at the moment. So Dheeraj, don't be too panicked on that. Now coming to the direct question on Adani Ports, yes, it's a very good company. It's got 14 ports that it manages. It's got ICTs, it's got logistics arms, it's got the dredging part of the business. It's got quite a bit of activity. But I'm not convinced on the valuations. As you said that people are coming out with buy reports, that's fair. That's their view. My view is valuations still remain a bit punchy. This is a business that depends a lot on exports and imports. And if Donald Trump is going to be putting a lot of restrictions on exports and imports, and India's exports to US get affected, I'm sure it's going to hurt them profitability as well, because the volumes may decline or they may not grow at the same pace. And then these punchy valuations may not be justified. So like I always say, Adani Ports is probably one of the best companies in the Adani group, something you cannot ignore. But I would like to say closer to 750, 800 is where my comfort level comes for buying, because I want to make a return on capital. So I would wait till that point to add on more. If you are holding, stay put in it, because it's a great company. But expect relatively lower returns from this point of time over a period of 3.
All right, fair. The standard disclaimer, of course, this is Adani Ports that we just spoke about. It is part of the Adani Group, and NDTV Profit and the NDTV Group are owned by the Adani Group. Dheeraj, I hope that answers your question, and essentially, I hope that is the case as well, what Samir just pointed out in terms of nearing the end of the selling. We have been talking about 22,800 on the Nifty 50, but we have broken below that. Let's see how we end the session today and the week, in fact. But you saw the 1 month time frame on the Nifty 15. We're just about 1% lower than we were at the start of the month, or actually a month back. And that should give you some confidence heading into the end of the session and indeed into the rest of the week. We have to slip into a very quick break. We've got more questions on the other side that we'll take, so do stay tuned.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit Conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
A life which is both taking care of your material needs and taking care of your altruistic needs. That will be the true definition of Viksit Bharat.
In my view, we are already out of that slowdown.
For every unloam, you have to have vilom. You can't just keep doing up and up in the breading also. You have to come down. So the correction and healthy correction is a very, very integral part of the market.
The private capital expenditure, from where I sit, I see that private capital expenditure is happening.
Any tariff coming on Indian goods will be passed on to American consumers, and Indian companies will not be affected.
We feel fairly good about the fact that we can compete with various ports.
Actually, instead of Viksit Bharat, we should call it Re-Viksit Bharat.
Headlines you start your day with. What matters worldwide is now in the palm of your hands. Get ready to seize the day and maximize your financial potential. Stay ahead of the curve with all you need to know on NDTV Profit.
भाषण सुना उसके बाद मेरा पहला एक्रोनिम निकाला मैंने, वो था RRR, रिस्पॉन्सिबल, रिफॉर्मिस्ट, और मैंने कहा रिवॉल्यूशनरी। हाउ डिड यू अराइव एट दिस नंबर ऑफ 12 लाख रुपीस?
हमें लगता है टैक्स पेयर उस लेवल नंबर से टैक्स भर रहा है, क्या उनको हम कुछ कर सकते हैं?
प्राइवेट सेक्टर कैपेक्स अभी तक वो इन्वेस्ट क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं, जबकि आपका इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ही बताता है कि वो कैश पाइल पे बैठे हुए हैं।
कि अगर कंजम्पशन बढ़ता है और उसके तहत लगता है कि ग्रेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट का पॉसिबिलिटी है, वो भी अच्छा ट्रिगर हो सकता है।
AI बहुत तेजी से आ रहा है, तो जॉब के चैलेंजेस होंगे, स्किल के चैलेंज पहले से हैं, तो जो ट्रांजिशन पीरियड का स्ट्रगल है, नौकरी मुझे अभी चाहिए।
पूरे साल का एक्सपोजर दिलाने के लिए हम इंटर्नशिप प्रोग्राम ले आए और इसके साथ साथ इस बजट में भी ट्रेनिंग फॉर AI इसके लिए सेंटर्स बनाए हैं।
Do you really know the company you invest in? What's the picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know your
Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit, a show that gets all your stock-related queries answered, whether they're fundamental or technical. For viewers who are just tuning in, you can either call us or WhatsApp us on the number that's flashing on your screens. We have our next caller lined up. Mohan from Telangana is calling in. Mohan, a very good morning to you. I believe you have a query on transformers and rectifiers.
Yeah. Sir. Good morning, madam. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I am having this. I am fond of this stock, that transformers and rectifiers.
Okay.
So I want to purchase it 100 or 200.
Okay.
So after the split, it is touching the upper circuit also yesterday and day before yesterday.
Right.
So can I purchase now at this current level?
Okay.
Is it profit motive or what is the future of this stock?
Okay, Mohan, just let me get this correct. You've not yet bought it. You want to buy it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you want to buy this from a longer term perspective?
Yeah.
Okay. Samir, I'll quickly come to you. Transformers and rectifiers is the counter. It's. Look at the charts there. It's been doing great. What's the view like in terms of order book? Also, it's pretty strong. Even in Q3, the company did well. But according to you, is it a good stock to have in your portfolio from a longer term perspective?
Yeah, I think so. If you look at what the companies are in, it's the power segment, which is seeing a huge amount of growth, and the growth is only going to keep accelerating, given the kind of setups that we have for renewable energy coming in. So you're going to need more of these transformers being put up at various locations and more of these power grids being set up, which is going to lead to more demand. And like you rightfully said, the order book is quite strong. So it's quite good on that front. If you look at the profitability, you've seen a huge jump in the current year, but there are certain one-offs in that. So if you adjust for those one-offs, then the profitability is still quite decent. And, if I adjust for the one-offs, it's trading at about 18 times earnings, which is not expensive in any which way. So one can go ahead and maybe make an investment in the stock at this point of time. Maybe you can definitely generate about a 20% CAGR return over the next 2 years. So yes, I would recommend a buy on transformers.
Okay, so it's a buy on Trill, and certainly a stock that a lot of people keep on their radar. Amber Enterprises, the next counter that we're talking about, and Jay Krishnan is writing in from Kozhikode in Kerala, and he's bought at levels of 7,653. He's looking for a medium-term outlook. He's bought at slightly elevated levels. Jatin, what does the chart look like for the medium term?
Yeah, see, over the medium term, the trend is still positive. The recent correction from around the 8,200 odd levels to around 5,400, I think, has completed. Reason being, on the weekly charts, it's forming a hammer candlestick pattern, which has a bullish implication. and also it has tested its 40-week average. So long-term supports have been tested in this fall, and buying interest is emerging from that crucial support zone. So yes, the correction has come in, buying interest has come in from the support level. So I believe that one can invest in the case of Amber Enterprise. On the upside, we are expecting levels of around 6,800 to 7,000 from a 1 month kind of a perspective. And on the downside, you should keep a stop loss of around 5,600 if we currently invest in this stock.
Okay. All right, Jatin. So that's the view on Amber Enterprises. Let's get in Ravi, who's calling in from Hyderabad. Hi, Ravi. What's your question on?
Yeah, very good morning, Alex.
Good morning. Good morning. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my question is regarding ITC.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm holding 50 shares of ITC at the price of 413. So my question is, the stock is getting correction, right? So shall I add more, or shall I wait for a couple of days so that the stock gets more correction?
Okay, and so you bought at levels of 413. Did you buy it based on the fundamentals on the long-term basis?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you would be comfortable as well holding for the long term. Let me go across to Samir on the fundamentals then. We're talking about now X of ITC hotels, ITC trading at 400 levels approximately. So he's not losing a lot of ground. Would you add more at the current juncture?
Absolutely. So I'm very positive on ITC. So look, the cigarette business, the reason one of the stock has fallen at this point of time is there's news around that the GST on say tobacco could be increased, which could hurt the margins and prices of the product would go up, which would lead to some amount of volume slowdown, maybe not degrowth, but growth in volume slowdown, which is quite possible when prices move up. But at the end of the day, what you've got to look at is this is a product that continuously grows. It goes through these periods of price adjustment where volume growth tapers out and then the volume growth restarts. It's a cash cow business which will continue to do well. So from the cigarette part of the business, all is well. Then let's work on the FMCG part. So that is where there's been a bit of a slowdown in the recent time because of urban consumption slowdown. But we believe that going forward with the incentives that the government of India has given plus the interest rate cuts, we will see consumption bouncing back. And once that happens, you will see the FMCG side of the business seeing a good uptick. And as that happens, the operating leverages will play out. They've already got a massive distribution reach. They've got brand products. They've got everything in place. It's a question of just using the leverage and now letting the leverage play out. So we believe that that will happen. And then maybe a few years down the line when the FMCG business gets its own scale and profitability, they will demerge that and lead to further value unlocking. So if you're a long-term investor, I say please add on. I think this stock can do a lot of wonders over the next 3 to 5 years.
All right, that's an interesting take coming in on ITC. The next counter that we're talking about is Chambal Fertilizers. Do we have the name? Okay, Vishwanatha Reddy from Andhra Pradesh is holding 250 odd shares bought at 71 a piece since 2016. So he's been a patient investor in this particular counter and sitting on a profit of 1.2 odd lakhs. He wants to know that is this the correct time to sell or should he wait for more upside going ahead? Jatin, I'll come to you on the charts. How is Chambal Fertilizer faring?
See, as far as the technical structure is concerned, it has been consolidating within say around 550 to 460 since June last year. So it has been a healthy consolidation within this range, and we are expecting a breakout on the upside. So I think he is sitting on a decent amount of profit, but I think this consolidation now is on the verge of a breakout. So I think he should continue to hold on to his investment. He should keep a trailing stop loss around 480. So if 480 is breached, then I think the structure becomes weak and thereafter he can exit. But as of now, he should hold. On the upside, we are expecting this consolidation to break out, which gives a target of roughly around 650 to 670. So that is the area around which he can consider to book out profits. As of now, continue to hold with the stop loss of 480.
Continue to hold with a stop loss of 480 is the view coming in from Jatin. Our next caller, Chandrasekhar, is calling in from Hyderabad. Chandrasekhar, a very good morning to you. I believe you have a query on Tata Tech.
Yes, yeah, I'm having the query on the Tata Technologies, Tata Tech.
Okay, go ahead with your query.
Yeah, actually, so this specific Tata Technologies, I was purchased on 22nd December 2023.
Okay.
The respective shares are 120. So at that time, I was purchased for 1222 rupees each share. So from that day onwards, the share is not growing.
Right.
So now the share is decreasing like anything in the in both NSE and BSE.
Right.
So now the current share price is 746 because this is a new innovative company in the Tata Group. So already there is a Tata Consultancy is there in the IT software side.
Got it.
Tata Technology is the technology-wise, which is specific to
Got it. So Chandrasekhar, you want a long-term view on this counter, right?
Yes, sorry to interrupt. So based on that plan, I was purchased these.
Okay, I got your query, Chandrasekhar. I'll quickly go to Samir. Samir, Tata Tech is the counter. What's the long-term view like?
So we are very positive on the long-term views of Tata Technology. We discussed this on your channel also once. I think I was asked the same question maybe 2-3 weeks ago. So yes, the stock is going through a bit of a difficult period because the growth in the auto segment has slowed down, and this is the segment that they cater to largely. They also have an aviation exposure, and that we will see an uptick over the next many years. So when the auto sector starts seeing growth, we will see the growth coming in from the requirement of the technology that goes into all of these auto components as the automation in the car, and that is only continuously increasing. So Tata Tech will get a boost from that. Secondly, like I said, the aviation side, we are expecting some order flows. They've been working for the last 2.5 years on certain products for that segment. So as that sees the light of day and the orders come through, we'll see the revenue stream start coming in. And look, this is at the end of an IT company. So once you have a product and once you launch it and once you start selling it, you start making great operating margins on them, because the requirement of the further development, of course, is always there, but you're kind of taking care of it by the revenue coming in. Right now, they're only a cost center for a lot of those things. So we believe the opportunity is very good. We think the stock has seen a very healthy correction. I would strongly recommend a buy on Tata Tech at this point of time.
Okay, all right. That's the view on Tata Technology. We've got another caller. Swapnil is calling us from Pune. Hi, Swapnil. Good morning. How can we help you today?
Hey, Alex. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Mahima, Samir, and Jatin. Good morning. So I brought this IRB Infra, some 38K shares for 51, some 3 months back. And I'm thinking like whether should I hold this for medium to long term or should I counter this counter with RIL counter?
With RIL?
Reliance. Yeah. So
what is the time frame you had in mind, Swapnil?
It's medium to long term. I don't mind. I've been always a long investor. And what I'm thinking is with Maharashtra and UP governments, double engine, their capex is increased. So whether that will help.
And so this is basically, but when you say that you want to switch to a Reliance Industries, this is a tactical shift that you're looking at, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so then let me go to Jatin on the technicals. Jatin, between the two, where are the prospects better between a Reliance Industries and IRB Infra?
See, if I have to compare the two, then I will definitely go with Reliance Industries. Reason being the overall structure or the you can say the large cap quality of Reliance Industries attracts me more because this IRB Infra has been in a corrective mode, and considering that our view on the mid cap and small cap space is not that positive, so I would definitely suggest to shift to Reliance Industries, because on the downside, in the case of IRB, I'm expecting levels of around 42 odd levels. So that is around 10 to 15 odd% correction even from current levels. And structurally, the stock is in a downtrend. So I believe that the if someone wants to invest, then Reliance Industries is definitely a better option from a short to medium term perspective.
Samir, if I read your expression correctly, you have an opinion on this. You want to come in very quickly.
So I was smiling because it's like comparing an elephant to an ant. You have Reliance Industries, which is one of the best cash flow generating companies in the country. Of course, they're taking a lot of debt in to expand their capacities. But once they get to the end of this expansion that they're doing, we see the cash flows being phenomenal versus IRB, which is going to be a company to grow, will constantly need to have government projects, long-term. It's not a comparison. So if somebody were to ask me, I wouldn't even need to think of the fundamentals. I would just make the switch from IRB to Reliance Industries, and especially given Reliance is 20% of the top. The telecom vertical will list, which is value unlocking, which is a growing business for them. Because at the end of the day, ARPUs as they increase will lead to increase in profitability. The retail business has seen a bit of a subdued sales because of the slowdown in consumption, which we talked about, which we believe will bounce back. And the petrol and refining and oil to chemical business will see margins coming back. GRMs have been lower; they've come back to a little bit higher, and that will keep the cash flows coming in. And lastly, they're setting up the solar cell manufacturing, which they're going to use for setting up their own green energy and getting into green hydrogen spaces, which is going to be something of the future. So for me, Reliance is an investment that has to be in your portfolio for you. If you're an investor in India, because this is a stock that gives us good compounded returns over a period of time, and they make the right investments at the right time, and they make it in such a large fashion that it becomes difficult for other players to compete with them.
That's the view with respect to the two counters and as Savi rightly described. Moving on to the next counter, IRIDA is the next counter. Dilip has bought around 300 odd shares at 210 a piece, and he wants to know whether at the current levels should he hold or exit. Jatin, what's the view like with respect to IRIDA on the charts?
IRIDA, I believe it's witnessing a trend reversal from around 160 odd levels. So I believe that she should continue to hold. On the upside, we are expecting levels of 198 to 204 from a short-term perspective. So our view on the stock IRIDA is positive. One should keep a stop loss of around 170 if someone is buying, or if someone is already holding, then he should keep a trailing stop loss of 170.
Okay, 170 is a level to watch out for on the downside. It is time, gentlemen, to hit the rapid fire segment, and this is where we throw as many questions at you as we possibly can in the span of 2 minutes to keep your answers as concise as you possibly can. Sadhana Nitro is the name of the counter. It is a 909 crore market cap company. This is a question from Nagendra. He's bought at an average price of 45. Jatin, should he hold on?
What is the name of the stock?
Sadhana Nitro. It's okay if you can't pull it up. Any chance you have a view, Samir?
Yes, I'll say hold on. The company's just finished its fundraising. This is a chemical company which is expanding its capacities. I think there's an opportunity once all the operational efficiency is so hold on.
All right. PFC is the next counter. Jay from Andhra Pradesh is holding 40 in quantity and average price of 290. He wants to add more. Is this the right time to add more, Jatin, on the charts?
Yes, he can add at current levels, and he should keep a stop loss of 360 for his addition at current levels. On the upside, we are expecting 440.
Okay. Phoenix Mills, bought at levels of 1,736, 20 shares bought. Arjun wants to know, good to hold for the next 2 years. Samir?
Yeah, one can hold on to Phoenix Mills. I think their mall operations will continue to see higher revenue flow, so hold on.
All right, Concord Enviro is the next counter. Vinisha is holding 21 odd shares, and this is an IPO allotment. She wants to know whether she should continue holding them or not. Samir, if you have a view on this one.
Sorry, no view.
Okay.
Okay, Kalyan Jewelers for the short term, bought at levels of 503. Viro wants to know, Jatin, should you hold on? Bought at levels of 503.
Hold on with a stop loss of 438, or even if less than 458 is the level below which he should exit. And on the upside, I'm expecting a pullback rally towards 560 odd levels.
All right. IRFC is the next counter. Madhu is holding 700 odd shares at 162 a piece. She wants to know whether she should continue holding or not on the charts. Jatin, quickly.
IRFC exit trend is negative. I am expecting a drop towards 116 to 114 odd levels.
Okay, all right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in, for answering all your questions. In fact, we've got a few messages of appreciation for you, Samir, for your lucid answers. Thank you so much for taking the time. Pleasure. All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of Ask Profit. Happy Friday from Mahima and myself and the team that put this show together. There's lots more coming up over the course of the day. I'd invite you to stay tuned.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit Conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
A life which is both taking care of your material needs and taking care of your altruistic needs. That will be the true definition of Viksit Bharat.
In my view, we are already out of that slowdown.